First and foremost, I believed in myself. The people that were around me were like, maybe you shouldn't do this. Clearly you don't know what you're talking about because obviously I'm going to make this work. Think very, very long term and have a mission that is far greater than yourself.
What challenges you?
Myself. Dude, Cedric.
We got Louis.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to this episode. And we got Louis. And thank you for having me in your beautiful place.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. Pleasure to have you here.
Awesome.
I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, very interesting. So, this world, you've come into a caliber that you can actually afford to have this place, and most people can't. So can you talk about the early beginnings and how the decisions that you made have come on to bring you in the industry that you are, if you could touch on?
Sure.
And where you are right now.
Okay. So I think first and foremost, I believed in myself. I loved myself. Even when I made the decision to start doing what I'm doing right now, the people that were around me were like, well, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe this is not the right thing to do. And I was like, clearly you guys don't know what you're talking about because obviously I'm going to make this work. And I think when you couple incredible self-belief, self-efficacy with action and work, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. I think there's a element of talent that comes into the equation, but I also think that you can outwork someone else's talent. So I think it's the coupling of self-belief, self-efficacy, and then tremendous action and a lot of hours put into something. And I think I've always been someone who's been very obsessive over what I do. Thinking back to when I was very little, I would have phases of going through, like, even thinking back to the earliest memories I have, like obsessive over like dress ups and like becoming characters, like watching movies and then like trying to become those characters, and then getting into sports and martial arts and just like obsessing over these things to the point where I became a weirdo to the people around me when I became older. So I have those qualities of being able to just lose myself in a craft. And I think because of that, I believe in myself. So it's those two things combined that I think have led me to where I am today, which also I don't even think is that far, because I always people tell you not to compare yourself to other people. I compare myself to people.
I think it's healthy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe not for your mental health, but also I don't care about happiness. I compare myself to people.
Very deep.
Yeah. I compare myself to people that are ahead of me, or I think I will think about where someone was, where I was in a certain stage of my life, and like what their circumstances were, and I will compare myself to where those circumstances were, and I'll be like, oh, they were ahead of me in this aspect, but I was ahead of, you know what I mean? So I'll do those sorts of mind games with myself. But I've always been very competitive with myself, and I always feel as though I should have done more. I should be further ahead. Whatever I achieve, I'm like, yeah, obviously I achieved that. I should have done more, you know? And potentially that may not be the most healthy thing from a mental health perspective, but I also don't care. That's not what I'm optimizing for. I'm optimizing for the most, the furthest achievement of what I'm capable of. I would just see how far I can push it. I also very much so care about humanity. And I think that in order for someone to do the most good, they need to see the extremes of which they are capable of.
Provide the most value.
Correct. And I think if everyone did that, then we would be in a different world. But I suppose people aren't like me. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Not at all. And that's where the uniqueness comes in. And that's why you push yourself to achieve greatness as you have. And it's still so young. Like, the world is ahead. But I'm trying to get at, where did that mindset come from? Like, was your dad like this? Was your mom like this? Like, where did that bake in from an early age?
Okay. Honestly, bro, I don't know. I don't know. My dad, you can see the paintings on the wall. He's a very talented artist.
Wow.
Very talented.
Put those on the screen.
Yeah, maybe. But he wasn't. Trying to think of the way to explain it. He wasn't as I don't know. For lack of a better term, egocentric. I don't necessarily think that that's exactly what I am, but I suppose people looking at me may think that. He wasn't like that. So I don't know if I got that from him. Like the belief, the self-belief. But I do remember being around like maybe 6 years old. He gave me a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. And within this book, I think like reading it now, I'm like, oh, this is a little bit surface level. But being so young, being exposed to those ideas of you creating a reality within your mind, and then your external world becomes a reflection of the way that you think and the way that you feel. Being exposed to that very young had, I believe, a very profound impact. So I think maybe that was like the initial catalyst. And then as I got older, the most like prominent male figures in my life were my martial arts teachers and my master. And those guys, fucking G's. Like my teacher up until even today, I'm like, he's fucking Superman. It's like whatever he thinks he can do, he'll just do. And then when I was younger, it was like everything he thought he could do, he did. And I'm like, okay, so that's how you are a man. You just think you can do things and then just go do them.
And the fact is, martial arts is so unforgivable. Like, you can't fake it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you'd go in the ring and just win every fight. He would be like, yeah, I'm going to go be an actor. Just became an actor. Stuntman.
He did that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about your mom? Like, did she have any influence
Also,
with that?
oh, yeah, 100%. She, my father was an artist. So I'm now very much so thankful for the way that he raised me. I would not be who I am today if he wasn't who he was and the way that he raised me. And I respect him a lot more now. But I think from a juvenile perspective, he wasn't a traditional father. And I think because of that, I had to identify ways in which I could become the best version of myself, I suppose. Yeah.
Most viewers may not know, but you have a kid coming.
Yeah.
Have you thought about how you're going to raise that child for the character to be the best version that they could ever be? Because there are guidelines, principles that you've thought of or you follow.
Yeah. So back to what I was explaining about my father. I think the best circumstances that you can give to a child is you allow them to experience the world and you provide them the tools in which to learn how they can move through the world and achieve what they want to achieve. But you don't protect them from failing. I think a lot of parents do that wrong. And especially ones that have resources. Because when I was younger, I would look at the kids that were more privileged than I was, and I'd be like, "Oh wow, these kids are pathetic." And now I'm here, and I'm competing against those same kids, and like they're pathetic for the most part. Mm-hmm. Actually, pretty much all of them. I can only think of one example of someone who's a peer of mine who became as successful, if not more successful than I am, that grew up with privilege. One. Just one.
Out of?
Everyone that I've met in my life.
Hundreds.
Yeah, more, obviously. Yeah. So that's my philosophy. You give tools, but you allow the experiences to unfold, because that's how you learn, through experience. You learn through experience, and you learn through example. So a lot of parents will tell a child to do something, and then they will do the opposite, and then you'll expect the child to like do what you say, but it's ridiculous. They'll do what they see you doing. So you have to be an example as well, always. So I think that's what I'll be optimizing for, I suppose.
Well, obviously you've achieved greatness and your mindset is where you need to be. So I'm sure that you will instill that in your kid as well. There's no doubt about it.
Thanks, bro.
But moving to what you do.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
How did you get into the industry that you're, because we haven't talked about, maybe
Sure.
viewers have no idea what industry you are. What do you exactly do?
Yeah.
What are the beginnings? And now, obviously, what are you putting your efforts into to move the needle forward?
Yeah, so I was an actor out of high school. I did not go down a conventional path by any means. And I did that for a few years, and I realized that's not what I wanted to do at all. And I was vehemently against getting any kind of like job. So I put my creativity to the test. I was like, how am I going to make money without getting a job? And I went online. I found online marketing, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. And I saw other people that were doing it. And I was like, oh, makes total sense. I'm just going to do this. And again, other people around me were like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. And I was like, of course, well, you clearly don't know what you're talking about, because obviously I'm going to make this work. So I spent like 6 months learning, not making any money. And then I just started getting client after client after client. So I developed my initial skill set doing that. And I met my first mentor, who was an investment banker in Vancouver in the 90s. He made a obscene amount of money in the early 2000s, retired, came out of retirement. And right around the time that I met him, he was coming out of retirement. So I worked with him or under him for a few years. I learned finance from him. I wanted to go back and do my own thing. And I ended up partnering up with a childhood friend of mine who I had initially helped get started in business. And we ran a company together for a few years. And in running that company, which was primarily marketing focused, we realized that a lot of the clients that we had and the customers that we had needed to raise capital and needed to, they required help from an investment banking perspective, which I later realized that's what that whole world was. I learned it from my mentor, but at that time it was way further ahead. He was working on huge deals, and I connected the dots down the line. But I realized what those businesses needed help with was investment banking. So we ended up doing like a 180 in our model. And that's when things like really took off. Really took off. So did that for a year and a half. And after that, I met my second mentor, who I ended up starting Kadenwood with.
Can you give them the timelines? Like, what year was these exactly?
Yeah, so I started working with the childhood friend in September of 2022. And by February of that year, we had done the full pivot. And then from February until the year after, in 2024, in July, you know what? It was just about 2 years ago to the date, actually, we started it. And he brought a client on, still a client today, 2 years later. We've done like 3 or 4 transactions with them. And within a week, we identified a counterparty for a $128 million deal. And we ended up getting it done within a couple weeks after that. Just fucking crazy. Total fluke, by the way. Like that's not a, like,
it's not like a thing.
It's not a thing. Yeah, like my mentor was like, this is the biggest deal I've done at the time. My mentor now is like, he's CEO of fucking Rothschild for 10 years in New York. A BCM. Yeah, not like the top end, but like
Their family.
ECM. No, BCM, Equity Capital Markets in New York. Yeah. For like 10 years. He's probably worth $300 million. You'll never think of it by looking at him, and he would never say. Very humble guy. You'll notice this with guys in finance, like really high up. They're very subtle. They are not arrogant. Maybe within their own head they are, but the image that they portray to the world is not that at all.
So that's how you got into finance.
Yeah, just by serendipity, I suppose. Yeah.
How important were the roles of those mentors that have entered your life?
Invaluable.
Exactly.
Invaluable. You can't even quantify it. I think, I've got a saying that I teach people, which is, if you want to do anything, you find someone who is exactly where you want to be and who has recently gone through the path that you are about to go down. Because if someone has achieved whatever it is you may want to achieve like 20 years ago, the road to get there is a little bit different today than it was 20 years ago. So you want to find someone who's recently achieved it, because they'll know exactly what the steps are in order to get there. And I think that was very much so the case with the mentors that I had. And it's invaluable, 100%. Yeah.
I think that quote is like very similar to what Alex Hormozi says. What do you think about Alex Hormozi? I think he's changed the minds of so many future entrepreneurs, current entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. Like he's like fucking Jordan. He's the GOAT. He's incredible. Although I think he could be further ahead if he wasn't doing what he's doing right now, to be honest.
Acquisition.com.
Yeah. I mean, I brought this up to a friend of mine, the smartest guy I know. When he was 21, he sold his company for fucking $20 million. Now he's running a business that does $8 million a year. Sorry, what am I saying? $8 million a month MRR. And he did it in 5 months. He's the smartest guy I know. And I was like talking about Hormozi, and he was like, Hormozi's a fucking info guy. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, he's an info guy. And I was like, yeah, he's the best info guy in the world. He's like, no, he's not. Tony Robbins is. And I was like, oh my God, Tony. Yeah. Tony Robbins does fucking like a few billion a year. He's a fucking info guy. If you boil it down, he just fucking sells info.
It's true.
Sells courses and fucking seminars.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Tony Robbins. And Hormozi, like, I don't know what his portfolio is at now, but it's less than $1 billion in enterprise value, not in equity that he has, in enterprise value, which means that in revenue that he's getting from distributions yearly is like in single digit. Well, yeah, it's like mid 8 figures maybe, which is okay, like pretty legit. But he does 100 billion a year plus from the seminars and the coaching and everything now. So he's making us cash from fucking info.
Right.
He's got enterprise value from his portfolio, but the portfolio is only earning like mid 8 figures in distributions a year, maybe if that. When you do all the math. So I think some people don't realize that, but he's an info guy. The best, one of the best.
One of the best.
But he's an info guy. But I've got a tremendous amount of respect for him. I said, I think he'd be further ahead. He's never raised money. He uses his own equity in order to purchase positions within companies, or in some instances, from what I've heard, he won't put any money down. He'll just get equity, and he'll raise the money based off of. He'll grow the business and then get burnouts based off of what the growth is. But there are people in private equity that have become billionaires within like a few years by raising money. So I think with his skill set, he would be further ahead. But also, he's like in another league than me. So what the fuck do I know? But yeah, potentially he could be further ahead, I suppose. With all that being said, he's a hero of mine still. Yeah.
Alex Hormozi in a nutshell.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
But it's interesting that, one thing I noticed is smart people question what they hear and what they see. Like
I question fucking everything, bro.
Exactly.
First of all, I feel like everyone's full of shit before I know about them.
Yeah.
I think everyone's lying.
I agree.
Yeah.
They gotta market themselves somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really important quality to like for viewers. Like it's the quality that most high level individuals have. I believe.
It's like very low agreeableness. You do not agree with anyone. So no, you're wrong.
Or they'll just take info and they'll like ponder upon it and then they'll analyze it and maybe they'll come to the same conclusion, but 99% no.
Yeah.
I spoke to you right earlier.
Yeah.
On the balcony, we're hanging out. You mentioned Elon Musk. You mentioned he's your hero.
Yes.
I personally agree, but I want to get your point of view. What qualities from him stand out to you that you would make this claim? It's a strong claim.
So I think what's very important to realize is the difference between his intelligence and the average person's intelligence is not that, like, there's not that much of a difference when you compare what his external results are with the average person's external results. He may be 140, 150, 160 IQ. So like, sure, he's like smarter than 95% of people. Okay. Maybe more. But when you consider what he's been able to achieve, like he's been able to achieve what maybe 20 people in history have been able to achieve. So it's in a different league. So what I'm trying to say is there are things that he's been able to do and the way that he operates in the world that most people can learn from. Okay. So the first thing is think very, very long term and have a mission that is far greater than yourself, because that mission is what's going to drive you, because things are going to fucking go wrong all the time. If you're going to go in business, that's literally what business is. It's solving problems. Things are going to go wrong all the time. You can guarantee that's going to happen. So if you don't have something that's far greater than yourself that you're working towards, it becomes incredibly difficult for you to persevere through challenges that are seemingly unsolvable to other people, or like what someone's greatest life achievement could be. Let me give you an example. Solving the Model 3 ramp up would have been what most people's like lifelong achievement would have been. That would have been the fucking accolade of their entire life, their entire career. But in his mind, he's like, we need to achieve Model 3 so I can have the equity to put into SpaceX so we can achieve the fucking reusable rocket, because we need to get to Mars, right? So when you think incredibly long-term, you have an incredibly large mission that you're trying to achieve. You diminish what the milestones and obstacles are to something that's like, it needs to happen. It's inevitable. It's like what I was saying earlier. It's like, it just needs to happen. Obviously it fucking happened. We have to do it because it's like step 2 within like a 30-step plan.
It's a no-brainer.
Okay. So I think that's the first thing. And if you look at anyone who's achieved something incredibly massive, they all share that quality. They think very long-term and they have a mission that's greater than themselves. And that mission, it's the next thing, the mission is what attracts incredibly talented people. Because Elon, sure, he works very hard, but his day is fucking delegating. He's identifying problems. He realizes what the problem is, and then he tells the engineers what to fucking solve. Works with them to help them identify what the issues are. But he's not solving the actual engineering problems and executing. He's delegating the entire thing. And the only way he can do that is by having like literally world-class people, like fucking the best of the best of the best of the best, best engineers on the fucking planet work for him. Why? Because they believe in what he's trying to achieve. So that's the next thing. Okay. It's having the ability to attract the best people, the best talent, and have them believe in you as a leader. Okay. That brings us to the next thing. Leadership. His leadership qualities are unmatched. The greatest leaders lead from the front. Model 3 ramp up, we were talking about it. He was on the fucking factory floor, sleeping on the floor underneath his fucking desk, worth billions of dollars. He's there with the engineers solving the problems until it fucking gets solved. Okay? Yeah. Alexander the Great. He rode his horse at the front of the army. The whole fucking army. At the front. Same idea. Mission greater than himself. Everyone believed in the mission. They weren't there just to go and conquer land. They were there because they believed in what their principles were, and they believed the rest of the world would benefit from the way that they lived life. And I know you're Persian. This dates back thousands of years, right? But the Persian Empire was one of tyranny, and the Greek Empire at the time was more so democratic. There were still kings, but there was free speech and there was culture, and there were so many things that people benefited from. So when Alexander the Great went to many of the cities that he conquered, they openly opened the fucking gates. Because what he said was, you can elect your own leader, you will govern yourself, but I will be your king. So that's the next thing. Okay. There's many different things that I can go on about him. I can go on for fucking the whole night about Elon, but he's my hero. He's the guy that I look up to the most. here's the reason why. There's other people that possess the same qualities, but remember what I said previously? You have to find someone who's done what you want to achieve, but has done it recently. He's the guy that's done it recently. You know, the same kind of person 2,000 years ago would have fucking gone and conquered countries, right? I think I would have as well. That's what I would have wanted to do. Sometimes I think I was born in the wrong century. But and today, what do? If you want to go conquer, you go into business, right? So I think those are the qualities that matter the most about him. Long-term thinking, the mission, the leadership. And there's things that delineate from those that we can talk about if you want to go into specifics. But I think those are the broad strokes that matter the most, I suppose.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah?
I couldn't agree.
Good man. We're going to be friends, buddy.
Those three, if everyone incorporates that to the fullest extent and truly believe it with every cell of their body, the world would be like, you couldn't even look at it the same. Like they would.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say, right? The difference between intelligence of him and the average person is like, okay, sure, there's a degree of difference, but what he's been able to do is like fucking light years beyond what most people can do. So there's a delta there, which means where did the delta come from? It's from fucking the way that he thinks and how he operates. And those are the things that I think we just discussed. I think those are the most important things. And if people incorporate those in their life, then, yeah. We can get into a whole other tangent here about going on about...
But moving on to that, in the industry that you are, right? You've done coaching.
Yeah.
And, you know, people pivot. So what's ahead? Where are you looking at moving forward at this stage that you are?
The people that I look up to in finance, they follow a very specific trajectory that I've noticed, connecting the dots. Most of them start off in advisory work, which is helping other businesses solve problems. That's what it is. And that can take many different forms. And the form that I've identified is helping businesses sell or exit, and also placing debt. So that's kind of the niche that we've carved out for ourselves. We work in the lower middle market, and the systems that we've been able to create allow us to do so in any different industry. So we're not tied to specific verticals or industries. We're what you would term as industry agnostic. Okay. So the advisory work is not the end all be all. Okay. You can make a very good living doing it. What most people would consider someone as rich, but it is not, you're not going to change the world by doing it. Right. So, it is the first stage, the first step. And I would say that we're within a few years from being in a place where that entire side of the business runs on its own. So if you look at a traditional investment bank, they have multiple different divisions. One of their divisions is the advisory side of the business. There's another side where they're owning deals. They're taking companies public. There's many different things that they do. So the advisory side is the first step. The next side, the next phase, is you owning deals, you being a principal, and that's where we are now transitioning into. So I mentioned my mentor and everyone else on my team's mentor. He was CEO of Rothschild in New York, of VCM, for like 10 years. We waited a very long time to bring this to him. We needed to make sure that he believed in us first and showed that we could provide value and that we were capable of executing. And only a few weeks ago, we had a call with him, and we explained our thesis, which was taking our core competencies within within marketing, top of funnel. We can you name a business. I can create demand for it easily. Like that's what I'm best at. And then sales. So taking those skills in addition to what we've learned recently with AI and creating software, building solutions and engineering and all of these things. All of these skill sets are what drive a business to grow, to become more valuable, to increase revenue velocity, etc. So what we talked to him about was identifying what industries these skill sets would be best utilized in. And we had a conversation about it, and we identified about 18 different industries. So what we're going to do is we're going to validate which industry out of those 18, I'm not going to fucking tell you which ones they are. But we will validate which of these industries we will have the highest degree of deal flow in. Okay. And once we've identified that, then we will start buying these businesses and consolidating them within that specific vertical. We have equity partners that we've already established. I was in Italy meeting with them, and we've got a sizable equity contribution that we can utilize. And we have a debt portion that we can go to about 10 different capital partners with across the States and Canada. And that's what the next play is. So it's doing several roll-ups. And in addition to that, also some public markets plays as well. So that's the transition. It's advisor, and then you move into owning deals. And then eventually you become an asset manager, which is where other people that own deals give you money in order to help them facilitate, their value creation. That's long-term what I'm looking to create. And candidly, I think there's a very slim chance that I'm actually capable of achieving it, but
it's unlike you.
Yeah, but I've got a lot of things going against me. I still believe that this is what I believe. I believe that no matter what, I'm not going to quit.
The most important.
And I know now that this is what makes most sense for my life. So I'm going to keep doing it. And the worst that can happen is I become fucking very rich. That's the worst that can happen. The best that can happen is I change the world. That's the best.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of paths that I can take this information that you just gave me. Mm-hmm. But the first one that came to my mind right off the bat is you mentioned that any company that they can give you, you can create demand for it.
Sure.
And that's a really, really important statement. So I want to dive in and understand the systematic way you think about it.
Yeah.
And how do you actually approach maybe a scenario?
Okay. So, there's a few things that we have to break down before we can get to how you can do it. Okay. There's a process behind it. So we already discussed this. I was very fortunate to learn this from someone very early on because I don't think a lot of people realize this. Business is a process of solving problems. And when you solve a problem for someone or a group of people, the byproduct of that problem being solved is value. And people exchange money in direct proportion to the value that they receive. Okay? So when you break this down, the bigger the problem, the more value, and direct proportion to the value, people will exchange money for that value, which is the byproduct of their problems being solved. Okay, whether it's an individual or a business. Okay, so you understand that fundamentally. Okay, so what you need to first identify is what is the greatest problem that your mechanism or whatever the business does, right? If you're Give you an example. If you're a window cleaning business, basic example, okay? The novice business owner would be like, oh, I'm going to go and try to clean the windows of a homeowner. How much value are you creating by cleaning the windows of a homeowner? You're making their windows clean, but you're not really solving a problem beyond their convenience. Okay. But if you own this apartment building, 68 floors, and you clean the windows of this apartment building, okay, now the owner of the building, if it's new, can now sell more units. And how much value is created based off of that? Because there's a better appearance when people walk in to view an apartment. It's more clean. If there was dirty windows, they'd be like, oh, what, this doesn't leave a very good impression. Okay, very basic example. So there's a difference. The same mechanism, the cleaning of windows, but now applied to a different setting. Okay, so that's the first thing. You identify what is the greatest problem that your mechanism can solve. And usually what that means is just going up market. Okay. Another example, something that we do internally all the time is send emails. We send a lot of emails. You can send emails to a small business, or you can send emails to a company saying that I can sell your company. You can charge them $100,000 to do that and then make millions when you sell it. Okay. You're sending fucking emails. By the way, to sell the company, you send emails. Okay. It's the same thing. There's no difference. So first, it's identifying what is the greatest leverage that your mechanism can yield, or what leverage can you apply to that mechanism to achieve greater yield? Better way of putting it. So when you identify that, now you have, okay, this is what this mechanism can solve. And now you have a claim. This is now we get into advertising. Okay. There's a gentleman by the name of Nick Cosman. This is who I learned this from. This is brilliant. Fucking genius. Okay. The best businesses start off with a claim. You have the idea of a mechanism, or you have a mechanism. What's the greatest thing that this mechanism can achieve? And now you have a claim. Okay. Using the same example. We can increase your unit sales by a factor of 400% within the next 2 months.
It's kind of like the offer.
It is the offer. It's a fucking claim. Okay. That is what the offer is. It's a claim. Okay. Now what do? Now you work backwards from there to identify what the fulfillment process is. After you've validated what the fucking claim is at the top of market, top of funnel, what the message is to the market. This is what you call message fit. And then you work backwards from there. Most people are fucking retarded. Most people have a mechanism and they try to sell the mechanism to people. And that's why they can't sell anyone. Or why they're poor. You just figure out what people are willing to spend the most money on. And then you work backwards from there. As a matter of fact, here's the other thing. Revelation. Fucking crazy. People don't even buy value. Okay? Unless you are paying after you achieve a result, which in most instances you don't. If you go to the fucking store and buy a product, you pay for the product, you get the product, you use the product. If the product works, you solve a problem and you create value. But if the product doesn't fucking work, what do you have? No value. But you've already paid. People pay on perceived value. So you don't even need to have the fucking thing figured out. You can engineer the solving of the problems after you've already made money.
By perfecting the claim.
Yes. You don't even need to perfect the claim. You have a claim. Do people resonate with it? Can you get money from it? Yes? Okay, great. Solve how you achieve whatever the claim is after you've... That is business. Take it back to Elon. Model 3s, boys. Get your Model 3. Don't know how the fuck we're going to do it. Give us the fucking money, we'll figure it out.
And he did.
And he fucking did, exactly. Now you get into ethics. You don't make the claim unless you know that you're going to fucking follow through on it. Right? Sometimes it's not going to happen in the time frame that you think it's going to happen, or that you wish it would happen. Right? Like there's the concept of speed. You have to be fast with everything in business. That motherfucker has said there would be a fucking roadster for the past 10 years. Okay? All right? Okay? So you have speed as the concept of something pushing you towards a goal, right? But you're not always going to be able to do things within the time frame that you think you're going to be able to do them. It's also something that you need to realize in the back of your mind, right? Yeah.
Business 101. I think this is a great advice that people should follow through. Like when you hear a great advice, you actually should take action towards it. But most people will probably listen to this episode and they're like, oh, that was cool. And then tomorrow, what are you going to do? 99% will go back to the same old person that they were.
Yeah. That's most people, though. Unfortunately.
It is what it is. But moving forward from that, the back of the mind you mentioned and the front of the mind.
Okay.
When going to a meeting, when living your life, meeting new people, when meeting with your team, when going to an event, when doing anything, what are the biggest elements in each of these two components of your brain that maybe wire you the way you are? And this could be filters, like, because we filter ourselves, maybe we want to say something, but we're like, okay, this filter came on, and we tweak it or analyze it before we say it. And this is a really deep question. But I want you to try your best to say, like, back of the mind, front of the mind, like where you're at with it.
You mean like subconscious, conscious, present, not present? Is that what you mean? That's kind of what you mean?
Back of the mind, subconscious.
Okay, all right. Okay. I think that your subconscious drives what your actions are, and your actions will dictate whatever your results are. So a tremendous amount of the work that someone should do whenever they're trying to achieve anything is influence what their subconscious is. So there's a lot of techniques in order to do this. The subconscious is the orchestrator behind your life. It's like what you will default towards. It's what your self-image is. It's what you internally believe about yourself, whatever. Okay. So people will have the concept or notion that they want a specific thing, but their subconscious will be in conflict with whatever that like surface desire is. Okay. So I think what I always try to do is influence what my like internal being believes is truth. And I know that when that happens, then the actions just are like a natural consequence of that. So that is, I suppose, what I attempt to use in like every part of my life. It's just like I'll influence my subconscious to believe that I'm, I suppose, capable of like whatever it is that I'm trying to do in podcast, for instance, being in front of camera, whatever. It's like most people have an aversion towards it. It's okay. You influence your subconscious in order to think that you are good. Like everything's good. You're good on camera, charismatic, everything's there, right? And then based off of that, the actions will then dictate how you perform and what those results are, and those feed back into the belief system, which then influences the actions, which then influence the results, and that keeps going. So that's how you hack everything. You hack your subconscious, your belief system. That's how you influence your actions, and the actions will dictate the results, and those feedback into each other. So that's a basic mental model that you can use to get good at whatever it is that you may want to get good at. Most people, my observations, is they'll have some kind of internal conflict that goes against whatever their conscious mind is trying to push them towards. Business. Okay. They try to take actions in business, but then they have these internal subconscious beliefs that money's bad, they're not capable, this is not who they are, this is outside of what's possible. There's all of these things that are subconsciously holding them back. If you influence all of those, the actions just become fucking easy. Business is actually not that hard. It's pretty fucking easy. You find problems and you tell people that you can solve the problem.
That's it.
That's fucking it. Like, that's it. That's it. Like that's it.
It's a system everyone could copy.
Correct. That's actually it. Yeah.
You mentioned you have a team.
Yeah, I do. Very fortunate to have the people that I have around me.
And you also mentioned earlier that the ability to attract top talent is one of the most important skills you could ever develop.
Yeah.
So putting those two hand to hand, first of all, how did you come to the ability to attract the talent that you call the team, and how do you treat them to bring the results that you wanted to have?
Yeah. So when you're first starting, you are not going to be capable of getting like the best of the best people that have achieved the greatest things. It's not going to happen. What you have to do is attract people that are incredibly talented and are capable of becoming the best. So I think that's what I've been able to do. So people that have believed in me, my mission, been willing to get behind it, and then together we work towards becoming better than who we are yesterday. If you look at everybody that's done anything, this is how you do it. You're not going to get like a fucking stellar fucking rock star come work with you when you're starting. It's not going to happen. You have to become that. Then when you become that, you become the fucking guy. Then other guys want to work with you. And then when you have a bunch of fucking G's working together, you don't want any guys that are not G's working with you. Get the fuck out of here, boy. Right? It's like if you have the best sport. What sport did you play?
I played semi-professional badminton.
You played badminton. You played doubles?
Singles.
Just singles. Fuck's sake. Okay, you ever play a team sport? Never? Fuck. You ever play soccer?
Soccer, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Right, great. You have a soccer team, a bunch of G's, and you have some fucking dork who's on the team.
He's not gonna last.
Fuck that dork, bro. Exactly. Same idea. Same idea. You don't want dorks around. So you create that kind of environment. Steve Jobs put it as self-policing. Your job as CEO is to create an environment where the best people want to work in that environment, and that environment is self-policing. You only have fucking G's, and they tell everybody, fuck off. They can't handle it.
And that's it.
That's it. This is fucking it. Yeah. That's that. By the way, that is actually what the job is of a CEO. That's it. That is what it is. Is you find the best people, you put them in the place where they're going to be most beneficial to the organization. You get them to buy into whatever the vision is of the company. And people who are the best, they have incredibly high agency. You don't even need to tell them what to do. You're just like, this is what the vision is. They will fucking do it.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For the people that are making over $1 million a year or even more.
Okay.
For your business, moving forward, like if you had to speak to them as to how to make their company more valuable,
Sure.
or anything like that, I'm sure there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount. Well, we touched on it initially. I think most people have either antiquated marketing channels, or they're stuck to a singular marketing channel or several, but they're not doing them as effectively as they could be. There are marketing channels out there where you can achieve like single-digit dollar CPMs. CPM is the cost per 1,000 people seeing an advertisement. And like there are methods where you could do this. You can place ads within LLM channels now. chats. There's outbound mechanisms that you can deploy. There's SMS mechanisms. There's so many things that you can do that produce outsized returns comparative to the money that you spend and the time that you spend on these things. Like, for instance, I came from a marketing advertising background where I ran ads on Meta. The best I've ever been able to achieve for myself, even for clients, is like a 13x bottom line. Meaning I spend $1, I make 13 for myself. Okay. It's the best I've ever been able to do. Okay. With running outbound, with what we do internally, I can spend $1 and make like 150, maybe more sometimes, depending on the given month or what have you, right? So I think that's the first thing. If like you're in the $1 to $10 million range, I guarantee you are running a marketing channel that's not as effective as the one that would be best suited for you. It's the first thing. Second thing is you're probably not going as far up market as you should be, because yes, it's a strategy to have like bottom of market, tremendous amounts of volume. Sure. Okay. That's a strategy. That's a strategy for fucking Amazon. You know how many years Amazon's been profitable? 0. They've spent more money every single year. Maybe that's wrong now, but for the most part, they're negative because they go for growth. That's what it is. It's a fucking equity play. So if you're starting off, you're trying to make cash. You don't go for volume. You go for fucking the top of the fucking market. You charge as much as you possibly can. And what's beautiful about that too is you have very few clients when you do that. For instance, the example that I gave you where I had the funnel where I was making $13 for every dollar that I spent, I would maybe get 5 customers a month. Like that's like the most. We make like the lowest we would ever go is 100,000 in a month. The highest we did was like 500. 5 clients. Okay. It's like the max we would bring on. Maybe there might have been some months where there was a few more. So you go very high up market, you charge the most that you can. By the way, 500,000 is like not a lot. That's for an education offer. It's really high margins, right? But I think fundamentally that's one thing that people could be implementing more of. It's what is your strategy? Again, mechanism, what's the biggest problem that mechanism can solve? You conceptualize what that is, then you create a claim to that segment of the market that you've identified as being the highest up within the value chain that mechanism can solve a problem for. You create a claim for that, and then you reverse engineer everything from that once you've identified the validation at top of funnel. So it's those things. And then finally, people are not doing enough with AI. They're not. Like if we were chatting about this earlier. I have the concept of the Chad Autist. It's tongue in cheek. It's a total joke. But it's totally true. It's like conventionally you'd think of someone who's hyper successful as either being like a total Chad, like, no pun intended. Oh my God, I'm completely banking on his name now. Sure, Tate. No, I was thinking about the founder of Lululemon. What's his name?
I tell you.
Go figure it out. What is the name?
Cameraman on it.
I'm gonna get so mad once I hear it.
He's from Vancouver.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Chip. Jesus Christ. Okay, Chip. Chip is a fucking chat. Total G. He was like, when he asked about why they don't have fat people in their advertisements, because my fucking clothing's not for fat people. He's total chat. G. And then fucking their stock went to shit when they started putting fat people in their fucking ads. And then he had to come back in to fucking save the business. They started talking like this. Okay, he's a Chad. And then you think of a fucking autist, Bill Gates. Fucking nerd, right? Two people at two opposites of the spectrum. But then again, to bring it back to Elon, I think he embodies elements of both of those extremes. Okay. And I think in order to win in this day and age, you need to be able to do that. And then tying it back to the AI and the ability to deploy software, custom software within your company. If you're a founder and you're not able to at least conceptualize what is possible and what problems could be solved with AI, you're fucking behind. Like you're just gonna get fucking smoked.
Fucked, yeah.
You're gonna get smoked. So you have to have both. And it's also the same thing. I mean, I suppose you could even attribute those qualities to Bill, because the first contract that Bill had, he sold software that he didn't fucking have. Again, claim, big problem, reverse engineer after you get money. Fucking Bill Gates did it. Everyone fucking does this. That's how you do it. So I suppose he had those Chad qualities as well. But I think that's something that founders, business owners need to understand, is like at least what is possible with AI. So at very least, they can direct engineers to solve those problems, at very least. But I also think at the technical level, if you don't understand it, if you don't understand how to go in and like figure out what the engineering problems are, you're also going to get fucking left behind. Because if you know those things, like you can move fucking 100 times faster than a competitor. Give you an example, okay? Short form editing, okay? Conventionally, in order to do something at the scale of what Tate did, you need thousands of people clipping. Thousands, tens of thousands. Okay. All right. There's a few startups doing this right now, but I've got engineers working on this right now. I already created it. It's fucking 90% of the way there. And the cost efficiency is incredible when you compare it to what you would have to pay a clipper. So what this is, it's a piece of software that can ingest a long form video, identify what the best clips are. That is the engineering problem, is the identification, the inference of what is the best clip to choose. Okay, that is the problem. That is the problem that you have to solve, which we're like, again, 90% of the way there. When you solve that problem, now you've unlocked something that's like, literally you need 10,000 people. So we are launching a software where we're going to deploy 1,000 accounts across TikTok. We will scrub metadata of all the videos. We'll post probably like 28,000 videos a month. I'm not going to be able to achieve that level of scale unless I have this fucking thing, unless I have this app. And again, we're like so close to it being there. Like even now, like you can get away with it, but I want it to be there. So now thinking about how you can move 100 times faster. Okay, I would need to go and find like thousands of other people that are making money by clipping like clavicular shit, fucking brain rot retard shit, and have them be able to infer what are the best clips of my stuff, and have thousands of them be able to do it. It's not going to fucking happen. It's going to take months, ages, and then they're going to need to like be able to make money from it. Okay, so there's an easy example. You spend a few months solving a problem, understanding what can be possible by deploying software, putting the right people to work, and then understanding how to work through what those inference problems are and those engineering problems. And then when you solve it, now you've unlocked like just like I said, 28,000 pieces a month across 1,000 accounts, which we can scale. We get like 40, 50 million views. Like
It's game over.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And by the time you're watching this, we probably already figured it out, which is how you're watching it right now. But anyway, yeah, there's a basic example, right? It's like if you don't understand what's possible, like you're just gonna get fucking left behind from someone else who's like, oh yeah, that's how we're gonna solve it. We're just gonna like skip ahead of all of these like retard problems. We're just gonna fucking leapfrog you. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So those are the things that I think people need to figure out. Is like, first of all, your marketing channel, you're probably spending too much money on marketing. Second of all, you're selling to poor people for the most part. And then third of all, you are playing against kids that understand engineering problems better than you can and are going to deploy solutions to your industry before you can, and thus you are going to get left behind.
We're going to get to the last stage of this podcast.
Sure.
which is 3 psychological questions. And the first one, what challenges you?
Myself. Oh my God. There are no external forces that can challenge me anymore. Yeah. Myself.
I mean,
It means I'm ruthless with myself. Like I'm constantly anxious about where I am. I'm in constant terror that I'm going to lose everything. I'm in constant fear that I have not done enough. I'm in shame that I've not done as much as I feel I should have done. And I don't think that's ever going to change. You know what? I'm fucking fine with that. I do not give a fuck because I'm not optimizing for happiness.
and you've made your mind about that completely.
I don't give a fuck. I've always been like this. I am most content when I'm angry. I'm most at peace with myself when I'm mad.
You're like, I'm going to do this because
Yes, when I'm most like just at peace when I'm angry, upset, mad at myself and everyone around me.
and that's what it takes.
Probably. I think that's like, yes, probably. Because anger is a huge motivator, you know? I remember doing a fucking, what are those, Enneagrams or whatever? My fucking anger's like maxed. Maxed out. I'm like fucking mad at everything. Always. You ask my fiance, she's like, he complains about everything. Nothing's ever good enough.
How does that?
Like literally nothing is ever good enough. Ever. I never satisfied, never enough. No matter what I achieve, I'm like, I should have done better.
But a question that I have, if somebody feels that everything that they have is enough and they're satisfied with their life, don't you think they have a better life?
Praise be Allah, motherfucker. Christ be with you. You achieved the greatness of life. You are there.
I agree.
That's not me. I'm not me. You're content with what you have? Fuck yeah. I know psychologically, conceptually, that's like you've essentially achieved the same thing. You're content. You're at peace, you know?
It is what it is.
But for me, it's like, it's not about internal peace. It's about, I'm on my deathbed. I'm like, did I do the most I possibly could have done? There's a lot of spiritual things that we can tie into this. I think that's not for this podcast, but I think the basic premise is, I don't think this is it for me, at least. You know, I think this is one stage of a journey, this lifetime. Yeah. I think the reason why I am the way I am is because there's things that I'm supposed to achieve. My soul is supposed to achieve here. Yeah.
How did you come to that conclusion?
I don't think that's something that you can logically answer. It's just something that's internal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Maybe a dream, like, yeah, it's much deeper than who we think we are. The physical realm is nothing up to the proven 11 dimensions this existence has.
You could fit, if you were to put lead in this entire room, this 4,000 square foot room, if you were to put lead in the entire room and you were to remove all of the electrons, the neutrons and protons would fit on a single speck. This whole world is a fucking illusion.
Couldn't agree more.
Fucking illusion. All of it.
What are the top 3 advices that you've ever heard?
External results are a consequence of the belief you have in yourself and the actions that you take in the world. That's the most concise way that I can put that concept or principle. It's taught to me by my martial arts teacher when I was like 8 years old, maybe 7.
Wow.
What you achieve outside of yourself was achieved long before that through belief in work. I'd say that's the first one, most important one that I've held very close to my heart, I suppose. There is no difference of energy in thinking large and big than thinking small. There's no difference in energy. Energy expenditure. I tell you one thing, if you've achieved anything, it's because you thought you were going to fucking do it before you do it. You don't just fucking randomly get somewhere. Most people go through life like that. They go to an airport and they get on a fucking random plane and end up at a destination. They think life's a journey and they just fucking take me anywhere. But if you're deliberate with where you want to go, then you know which fucking plane to get on. Okay. That's the difference. You're still getting on a plane. Getting on a plane. No matter what. Life will be hard. There will be problems. Life is challenging. Tell you what, the problems when I grew up poor, it's the same shit as now. Same problems. Holy fuck, how am I going to make payroll? Holy fuck, I've got all these things that are going wrong. Holy fuck, I'm getting sued. Holy fuck, this is blowing up. Oh my God, business deal blows up. Fuck, the money that I was expecting isn't going to happen. It's the same shit. Same problems in your mind. Same level of severity. Then, I'm not going to be able to make rent. Fucking a few $1,000s. How am I going to put food on the table? Same internal response. You are getting on the plane no matter what. You pick which fucking plane you go on.
Pick your battle.
Correct. Exactly. So that's the second one. Life is far more enjoyable when you see the love in everything and the positive side of everything. You love yourself, you love everyone around you, far more enjoyable. Okay, so there's the third one. I suppose that's the most important one, actually. Yeah.
And lastly, I end every single episode with this singular question, which is, what do you think is the meaning of life?
Okay. To me personally, or what I actually think it is for everyone?
To you personally.
It's what I've been talking about this entire time. For me personally, the meaning of what life is to me is to maximize your potential within this realm of existence, to maximize or to have the highest likelihood that you are going to fulfill whatever the purpose is of you being here. To think that this life is random is fucking retarded.
You're here for a reason.
I think it's fucking stupid. It's fucking retarded. People think that this is random. It's like thinking that your cat doesn't know that there's a fucking internet, but to think that the internet's just there because it's just fucking there. It's like, it's nonsensical. And to use that analogy, we are not capable of fucking understanding the meaning. But to think that there isn't one is also retarded. Okay.
Louis,
Pleasure.
it was fantastic speaking to you.
Yes, likewise, bro.
And I wish you all the best
Hey,
in your future.
You as well, man. I think we're going to do some great things together. I think
Awesome.
we were talking about that off camera, and I think we're going to be able to make it happen, man.
Thank you guys for watching.
Fuck yeah.
We'll see you in the next one.
Oh, shit.